Welcome, my friends. And to those of you who are not familiar with my channel, let me explain briefly what I do. I share Native American spiritual teachings combined with my life wisdom in hopes to inspire you to improve the quality of your life and of your spiritual practices. And today I would like to talk about another lesson about power, the karmic lesson of reclaiming your power, which we hear a lot about, but not specifically steps in regards to getting there or what causes the loss of it. So I thought I'd share that with you today. And it is such an important step. Reclaiming your power is a mandatory step, actually, in being able to go towards your evolution and ultimately to your rebirthing, if you're reinventing your life. And we have all experienced a loss of power. We've lost ourselves for various reasons, for love, in different relationships, being dedicated to someone else's dream or ideas. It could be lost in the grind of work. So all of us have had these happening to us. It could be trauma, it could be a variety of things. The good news is that it is not a permanent state, although it could feel like it. But I would really like to discuss what are the most common causes that I have helped people with through the years that I have observed. And this is around the world. It's not limited to any one culture or gender. It is all throughout, and it has happened to all of us at one time or another. The first one would be a way of limited thinking. And it can happen without even us realizing it, through culture, through repeated experiences throughout our lives. We create these preconceived notions about ourselves, about certain types of people or situations. And what happens with that is when this, I'm going to say this recording, this tape is running in the back of your mind, and it begins to infiltrate what you are able to perceive. What you might see, what is only captured through this lens of preconceived notions versus the full spectrum of who and what is going on and what is actually there. So what happens? Well, what happens is because you are only picking up or focusing on specific things, it causes for your body language, your energy, your manner of speaking to go out to the world in a certain way, which in turn causes for people to perceive and react to you in a certain way. And what happens? Well, what happens is this is one of the primary mechanisms of why you can be reattracting the same type of unwanted people in your life. Why no matter what type of job you take, you end up having the same result and jumping from job to job to job, and so on and so on. So in order to remedy this, and right now, like I said, I'm only skimming the surface, but to give you things to think about, really sit down with yourself. And it requires some soul searching. And what is it? Pay attention to the patterns of what you see around you. Pay attention to the patterns of the cause, the effect, these circles that you feel stuck in. And it could, what the big tell is if you go to different locations, different types of people, but it always ends up being the same result. So if you find this to be true, then this is very much indicative of you're giving your power away unconsciously, not only to maybe a people or situation, but to, again, these preconceived notions. So begin to learn how you can change your perceptions about yourself, about other types of people, so that you are responding to who and what is there now in order to be able to grow. The other thing that I have observed in addition to this, because as you notice, when you're stuck in this circle and so forth, it can create chaos. But another way that chaos is created and a loss of power is clutter. And clutter, I'll talk about the most obvious one, which is the physical clutter. It could be in our homes. And so is that, number one, it takes up space. It helps to hold on to old memories and old energies that we don't need anymore. And if you have enough clutter, it can be very difficult to even have a healthy space to live. You can become claustrophobic because it's taken up with stuff. So the attachments to these objects need to be addressed. There's a whole psychology to clutter and so forth, which I'm not going to cover in this particular video. But one thing I find useful is if you take a picture of the item that you are attached to and write the memory and then give it away. Or if you find, oh, it could be useful, but you haven't used it in 2 years, then shift it to, well, I might need it someday, to I haven't needed it and it's still useful, but it'll be useful right now to someone else. So that idea of shifting that it's still useful and you're not wasting it, but giving it else to somebody who can use it can help with that. The other thing is clutter of the mind. And it is the most, I'm going to say pandemic thing since the pandemic itself, is we are constantly bombarded with, commercials. We're bombarded with social media, on and on and on. Our mind is bombarded with different concerns of surviving. It could be family, different things you're working on. And with that, overall, it just becomes this whirlwind that you can't even sleep because it's going on and on and on. Breathe, relax as best as you can, and give your mind a break. So whether it be through meditation, whether it be through activities that you find pleasurable, even if you just take 10 minutes a day, instead of using 10 minutes in social media, use 10 minutes to go outside and breathe. Use 10 minutes to read a book. Use those 10 minutes to give yourself a mental break. And ultimately, when we get into these mindsets that we're caught over and over, we give our power away to a cluttered mind, you can feel overwhelmed and burned out. So you need to address how you are looking at things. You need to literally sit down and say, do I really need to do this thing or talk to this person now? Is it necessary for me to be carrying all of these things all by myself, these responsibilities, these concerns, or to keep them bottled in and the emotions that come from that? The final way of clutter is with your spirit. And spirit is when you are carrying the worries of everybody else. And this typically happens a lot to empaths. So spiritually speaking, you are feeling, I have some friends who are very strong empaths that really feel the sadness that comes from the suffering of people and from the planet. I have others that the clutter of spirit is because they're trying to live their own spiritual expressions, but having difficulty letting go of the ones they're supposed to have, and so on. So spirit, the clutter of spirit, is when you find yourself being suffocated because you're not allowing your own soul to have healthy expression, to connect with the at oneness, the higher sacred self, and the sacred all that is in your own way. And it is independent of religion. It can include one, but it is that unique expression. For those of you, my friends who've been with me for a while, part of the ways that I declutter my spirit is literally floating on the river, and you've seen me do videos when I'm there. So simple practices, and if you need help with that, I can help you to craft or find those simple practices. But reconnecting with yourself that is independent of the responsibilities and noise is a way of reclaiming this power. The final one that I'd like to touch for today, because again, these are the ones that I've seen over and over again, countless times, so many people, is being stuck in the past. And we've all had that happen. And it happens through extremes of emotions, things that have happened to us. Most notably would be the loss of a loved one. It could be a person or an animal companion, but the loss of a loved one leaves us in a wounded state in the beginning until we move through the grieving. And we tend to want to hold on to that person or hold on to that animal companion to the point where we lose sight of those who are with us now and who love us now, and the animal companions who are with us now. And it could be the other extreme where, there are folks who've had their glory days and such a wonderful day or such a wonderful experience or such a wonderful relationship that when time moves and changes things, as it does for all of us, they are stuck living, trying to search and claim or relive that exact form of relationship, that exact feeling of euphoria that they had during their glory days. And that is never going to happen. So life is lost here again, loss of power, seeking the, in essence, impossible, because you can never step in the same river twice. So the way to reclaim your power here is if it is through the loss of a loved one, sadness, grief, trauma, then, and maybe even for the euphoric part, but mostly for the traumatic, I recommend seeking the help of a professional and also being in connection with those people who can nourish and help to lift you and hold your hand spiritually, mentally, in the ways of friendship and love. So kindness in this regard. If it is in the case of you're trying to grasp the past, which was a place of glory and euphoria, and getting lost in that, this would be a different type of professional. So yes, it could be a therapist, but you need to sit with someone who professionally can help you analyze what is it about that person or that time era that really made you feel alive. I can distill how you can recreate that now with who you are now and what is around you now. So this is what I would have to say to you. So really, I can't emphasize enough that if you found that you resonate with this video, if you want to just drop a comment below, this time is there ways that you felt you've lost power or reclaimed it, I would really appreciate that. And we've all done it. So again, my friends, if you found that this video resonated with you, you have found that, yeah, I've experienced that sky fire, then it's okay. You know, don't treat yourself too hard. Just realize that you're a part of a cast of billions. And if ever you should need help or guidance, it would be my pleasure to do so. But I have to say, it is never too late, ever. Great Spirit granted us two very beautiful gifts amongst many. One was the gift of life, and the other one is the gift of power, the power over your life and the power to interact with life. So as you reclaim your power, remember to do it with kindness, because that energy is what goes forward. It is the energy that if you go forward with a sense of kindness, self-worth, and awareness, then as you reclaim your power, this is the type of people that will be attracted to you, and then you will be able to discern immediately who's false. But if you try to reclaim your power and you haven't, I'm going to say, responded to the ways that you've lost it, you're going to condemn yourself to walking in circles. Or if you go at it with anger or open wounds, then you're going to be attracting that as your karma. So again, paying attention to the manner that you reclaim your power literally impacts the quality of your journey as you are reclaiming sovereignty. And it will also one-to-one affect the karma that you will be attracting into your future. So my friends, I appreciate you sitting through this video with me. And again, if you would like for me to help you, please feel free to contact me via my website. And you can also find me on Instagram, or just drop me a line here. So until we speak again, Wanishi, bright blessings to you.